Well, hello and welcome to the Ngage Live Chat Best Practices Series, webinar number 1, where we're going to introduce to you some infographics and self-service portal enhancements to your Ngage Live Chat account features. Presenting today will be Alex Hambrick, Vice President at Ngage, and just an amazing all-around guy who does a lot of incredible things for us and keeps things interesting. So Alex, I'm going to turn the presentation over to you and let you take it from here.
Thank you. Keeps things interesting is a good way to describe things. I'm glad that you all could make it to this webinar. Look forward to sharing with you what we've put together over the past couple of months. So one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we've received over the last probably year or two is the desire for more information, more transparency, and more assistance making marketing and operational decisions. And it makes sense. It's a natural consequence of this DIY ethos that the big players like Facebook and Google are really pushing. And when you think about it, Google really wants you to handle your marketing yourself. They see every dollar that you spend on a marketing manager or an ad agency, contractors, consultants. They see that as dollars that you could be spending with them on advertising if they want it for themselves. But say what you will about their motivations, the fact is they've definitely made it easier to manage things, or maybe harder depending on you look at it, because there's a lot more levers now that you can pull. And in order to know which lever is the right one, you need information and you need self-sufficiency. And so with that in mind, we built out a pair of features that we're going to walk you through today. And what's important to note here is that there are a lot of levers that you can pull with Ngage too. And a lot of these options that we're going to talk about here, they're designed to, these features are designed to give you more visibility and control over those options, those levers. But every firm is really going to be different. A feature that makes perfect sense for Smith & Johnson might not be a great fit for Jones & Jackson. And even if I had 3 hours, I wouldn't be able to walk you through all the different scenarios in which all the different options we have would be a good fit. And so you might have questions as we walk through things, and some of the terms or features might be unfamiliar to you, but that's okay. Each and every one of you has an account executive who you may or may not know well, but it's their job to know your firm. And they're going to be really well qualified to talk to you personally about what is and isn't going to be the right fit for your practice. And a bit later here in the presentation, we're actually going to show you how you can access their contact information in case you don't have it. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to our self-service portal. So logging in is it's pretty straightforward. You go to self-service.ngagelive.com. You enter in the same username and password that you do to access our leads portal. And if you don't have that, definitely feel free to reach out to your account rep, or there's a forgot password link on the self-service portal that you can use to access that information. And so the first thing that you're going to see when you log in is a list of all of the websites that you have with Ngage and all of the other features like ABO profiles, lawyers.com profiles, text message setups, etc. And in that second column, you're going to see whether or not you have live transfer enabled on that site. And so for those of you that aren't familiar, live transfer is our feature where when we're wrapping up the chat, we can ask the visitor if they'd like a phone call immediately. And if they say yes, then we try to connect them with your firm via phone before they ever have a chance to leave the chat. It's a pretty great feature when used properly. It can be a double-edged sword because when not used properly, it can be not a great user experience. And that's another example of a feature that is a great conversation to have with your account executive. And if you do have that feature enabled, you'll have the option to actually view the schedule for when it's active, because we can turn it on and off during certain hours. That way we're not calling your firm at midnight. So when you click on the View Live Transfer Schedule button, this little screen will pop up. And so these are just the hours of the upcoming week. If it's red, it means it's turned off, and if it's green, it means it's active. And again, if you don't have live transfer set up and you want to get it set up, reach out to your account executive and we'll get everything going for you. Now, the next option that we have available on the menu is adding Ngage integrations. One of the cool parts about Ngage is that it's very extendable. It can integrate in with a lot of different aspects of your practice, whether it's on the marketing side or on the internal operations side of things. And so this menu is designed to help you get some of these features set up. So each of these buttons is an option that you can click to request at no charge to get these integrations set up. So we've got sort of the marketing related ones, like adding it to your Facebook page, adding it to your employers.com profile or your Avo profile. We've also got the more operational side of things, like adding live transfer, for example, or integrating Ngage in with your CRM system or your case management tool, something like Captora, or if you're using like a Salesforce. Anything like that, we can actually automatically take the leads that you get from Ngage and push them directly into that system. And then also we've got the option to add Spanish chat to your site. Just wanted to take a quick word about the Spanish market. It's growing very quickly, especially if you live in a state where the population is higher than others. You've probably heard that the Spanish market is booming, and there's not any extra charge to get Spanish chat set up on your site. All of our operators are already bilingual, so if somebody comes on your site and they want to chat in Spanish, we can always do that. We can converse with them in Spanish or transfer them to somebody who speaks Spanish. But we also have these options where we can have either bilingual chat invitations or an invitation that's in Spanish only, depending on how your sites are set up. And so another feature is the ability to manage your email distribution lists. Now, this one is primarily a convenience factor. One of the most common by far customer support requests that we get are to add an email recipient, remove somebody, turn somebody on or off temporarily. And you can always reach out to your account rep to get that set up and taken care of for you. You can always reach out to our support team at support@engagelive.com. This is just an option if you want to do it yourself. Some people like to just fire off an email and get it done. Other people like to just be able to go in and do it. And so that's what this tab is for. So when you click on Manage Email, it'll show you a list of all of the emails that you currently have active on your account. And so if you click Add New Email, that is how you add a new one. Pretty straightforward. If that account already exists, it'll let you know. Similarly, you can deactivate accounts by just clicking the Deactivate button. And so if you scroll down a little lower, it'll actually take you to that list of deactivated email accounts. So whenever you've added somebody to your account and then deactivate them, we don't actually delete them. We just prevent them from accessing any of the leads, and we prevent them from receiving any emails. That way you can turn people on and off as needed. That doesn't typically happen all that often, but it's a frequent enough occurrence where we wanted to leave the door open for that. And now this last item right here, multi-account email addresses. That's really not going to apply to, I'd say, 99% of the people in the audience. This is for accounts that are associated with more than one law firm, which in most cases is almost always a marketing agency or a white labeler who's managing chat on behalf of their clients. And so this shows you any multi-account email addresses that are associated with your practice. If you happen to be logged on as one of these, you won't be able to do any of these edits. So you'd still need to go through your account executive or through support at engagelive.com to make any changes. But like I said, for 99% of the people who are here on this webinar, that's not going to be applicable. And then finally, there's a link to the standard Ngage portal where you can view your leads and your invoices. I don't know if you all can see this, but on my screen, it looks like the graphic is missing. So you'll just have to use your imagination here. But there's a button at the top that says view leads and invoices, which would normally be right there where the red circle is. And when you click that, it'll take you to the standard Ngage portal where you can view all your leads, where you can download your invoices, download your reports, etc. Now, speaking of reports, and also speaking of ham-handed segues, I wanted to talk about our infographics. That is another feature that we built out in response to the desire for more information. Now, granted, what we're showing you on the infographics, it's all, technically speaking, information that you already have access to. But in most cases, for you to really put it together in the format that we're about to show you would take an obnoxiously large amount of work. The purpose of it is to really help you visualize your monthly leads and where they came from, how they're interacting with you, just in a way that hopefully helps you make more informed decisions about your marketing. So the first section of the infographics is going to be your historical traffic and leads. So the bar graph shows you how many visitors you've received to your site, and the line graph shows you how many leads. And so this is over a 6-month period. And so for the most part, both of these lines should be fairly stable. But if you, unfortunately, happen to see a decrease in chat, you might look at the bar graph and see if there's a accompanying decrease in traffic. And vice versa, if you see an increase, you might want to double check to see if that increase is in line with your traffic to your site. If it's not, that could point to a number of different things. And I don't want to bore you with all the different scenarios in which your data and analytics don't line up, but if you see something that doesn't make sense to you, that doesn't square up, absolutely reach out to your account exec, because that's what they're there for. They're there to look at the graph and say, oh, well, you should check out X, Y, and Z. Uh-oh. All right, bear with me for a second. There we go. So this next graph right here is the leads over time for the month. So this shows you how many leads per day you're receiving. Now, for a firm that gets a decent amount of volume, 5, 10, 15 leads a month, this will look like one of those EKG things in the hospital where it's just a bunch of lines going up and down. If you're a firm that's getting pretty high volume, you'll see some interesting trends here. You'll probably see during the week that the number of leads that you have spikes, and during the weekend it dips. But there's some interesting insight that you can glean from seeing the activity over the course of the month. It can also tell you if you made some type of change or decision. You can look to that date on the infographic and see if there was any sort of impact on your chat volume. So this next slide here is the referring pages and the current pages. So what that means, the referring page is how the person found your site. So this is primarily of importance from a marketing perspective, because it's telling you that people came to your site and chatted from this source or this source or this source. It's important to note that these are chats, not just visits. So if you see a site or a source that shows up here on this referring page numerous times, that typically means that it's a good source of inbound leads and inbound chats. Like in our case, our QA testing, a lot of chats happen from that, which is a big surprise. But that's something that you want to pay attention to, because it really lets you evaluate whether or not certain channels are working, at least from a chat perspective. Similarly, a lot of times, if you're doing a promotion or a scholarship or something that involves community outreach, you might get a lot of traffic and buzz related to that promotion. And this can help you identify, let's say you're getting 10 or 15 chats a month about the new scholarship offer that you have. This can help you more quickly identify where those spikes in chats are coming from. And similarly, the current page, this is where the visitor was on your site when they were chatting. So this helps you look at things from a content perspective. It shows you which pages of your site are most effective at converting. Now, for a lot of firms, the top page is just going to be yoursite.com, just the top level page of your site. But a lot of times you'll find that there are certain pages on your site that people tend to find a lot more often than others. To go back to scholarships or promotions or giveaways, a lot of times we see when those are being heavily pushed that those pages shoot to the top of the list. And so you can look at these things and try to make some more informed decisions about how you want to handle chat. So for example, let's say you don't necessarily want to be getting 20 or 30 chats a month related to your bike helmet giveaway. We can actually selectively disable chat on certain pages so that we're not muddying the waters with chats that aren't really potential clients. It's another thing that you should discuss with your account executive, because turning things off can definitely be a double-edged sword sometimes. So you want to make sure that it's the right fit for your practice when you do that. Now this next page here, this shows you the percentage of devices that are using the chat on your site. And so really the two biggest ones are desktop and mobile devices. Tablet, we don't usually see a ton of tablet traffic, and similarly with SMS, text message traffic, we don't see a ton of those. It's pretty much just a neck and neck battle between desktop and mobile. And really what you want to be paying attention to here is just making sure these numbers aren't totally skewed one way or the other. So if you see that the pie chart is almost entirely blue and there's no red in there whatsoever, in other words, the only chats you're getting are from desktop, that might mean that something's not working with the mobile version of chat on your site, Or a lot of times firms will have separate mobile sites from desktop sites and just kind of forget to put chat on the mobile version. So this can help you identify things like that. You're really just looking to make sure that these numbers are roughly in the same ballpark as each other. Now this next slide shows you the performance of the live transfer feature. Now, if you don't have live transfer set up on your Ngage account, there will be no information here. It'll just tell you, hey, talk to your account rep if you would like to get live transfer set up. But if you do have it set up, it'll show you the outcome of your different live transfers. So success means obviously success. We placed a call out to your firm, you picked up, we were able to patch the visitor in, everybody's happy. And that's what you want to see. You want to see success. The visitor didn't answer outcome means that we were able to reach your firm, but then when we tried to patch the visitor in, they didn't pick up. That tends to be pretty rare because we're asking the person right then and there, hey, do you want to receive a phone call from our firm? So usually they're ready for it. The one that tends to be the most problematic and troublesome is the office didn't answer. So what that means is we placed a call out to your office and either nobody picked up or when they did pick up, they hung up before we could even try to transfer it to the visitor. And so it can be difficult to diagnose why this is the case. We actually record any live transfers that fail. So when we place a call out to your firm, if we aren't able to get in touch with the visitor, we preserve the recording of that call to help you identify why those calls might not be going through. A lot of times, I'd say probably the most common reason why offices don't answer or successfully answer live transfer calls is due to the front office staff just not being familiar with the process. You'd be really surprised how many recordings we've listened to where it's somebody at the front office picking up the call and they hear the live transfer prompt and then hang up. And then when we talk to them about it, they say, oh, I honestly had no idea that was an Ngage live transfer. I just thought it was a robocall of some sort. So if you're seeing a lot of office didn't answer in your infographic, that's definitely something that you want to be talking to your account rep about so that they can look into why these calls might be failing. Because most of the time, it's not anything nefarious. It's not somebody deliberately picking up the calls and hanging up. It's usually just there's a gap in communication somewhere, and this can help you identify where that gap might be. And so we've talked a lot about your account executives. The way you find it is just in the bottom corner of any of the screens on either the self-service portal or the standard portal, there will be a little button that says account executives. And so you click that and it'll bring up the name, the email address, the phone number of your account exec so that you can call them, email them, whatever. Now, like I mentioned, all of the standard channels for support are still available to you. You can always call in if you want. You can always email support. We just want to give you as many options as we can for helping you. And so that's what we've got. So I wanted to turn this session over to any questions that any of you might have. There should be an option in the webinar control panel for you to type out questions. But hopefully this has been informative to you, and I'm going to just take a beat now to see if anybody has any questions that I might try and answer for them. Sandra, was there anything else that you wanted to add? All right. So we have one from Scott. What is the web address for the portal? So that address is self-service. That's S-E-L-F service, SERVICE.com. I'm sorry, .engagelive.com. So self-service.engagelive.com. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, which means I must have done a bang up job explaining this to all of you, and I love that. I will gladly take credit for that. So I wanted to thank everybody for attending. I really hope that this was helpful and useful for you, and that you can take what you've learned here and use it to better manage your practice. So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out to your account executive. I do realize that what we presented was a bit of a chicken or the egg situation, because if you can't figure out how to get into the portal to find your account executive's information, you can't reach out to them to help you. So if you're in that situation, you have no idea what email address you use to sign up, just reach out to support@engagelive.com and they'll be able to help you. As with most all of our features, there's no charge to use this. There's no charge to manage any of your accounts through these features. And there's no charge to request any of the options that are available in the integrations menu as well. So once again, I want to thank everybody for attending, and I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you guys have a great wrap up of 2019. Thank you very much.